Hello and welcome to Midnight Musings. I'm your host, Bren.
And I am Jay.
And yeah, you're listening to us on our new podcast. Isn't this great? It's episode 2, right?
It is episode 2, yes.
Amazing.
The second one.
The second one. Episode 2, Electric Boogaloo. Right, so let me just talk a little bit about the structure of these podcasts going forward, because we kind of like went in a bit blind last time, didn't we? We didn't really have a structure, so to speak. Not saying that there's really going to be a structure in these latest episodes, but this is how it's going to go. We're going to talk about a topic to begin with, which will be the main title of the podcast. Then we're going to muse about some news, and then we're going to read out all the listener comments, which you can do that, by the way, by leaving us a comment on the YouTube channel. That's where we're going to be curating the comments, isn't it, Joe?
Yes, yeah. So if you want to leave us a comment for us, anything just to read out or a topic you want us to talk about, just go over to the YouTube channel, which is, youtube.com/Ministry of Gamers MOG. That's
Ministry of Gamers MOG. There you go. That's right. So let's kick this off then. Now, I've got an interesting topic today that's, it's a bit personal to me. Maybe other people feel the same way. I suppose that's kind of the point of these podcasts. But it's about games and why I feel like I'm not that much of a gamer anymore in the modern sense of being a gamer. And I've thought about this a lot, and it comes down to downloading games and physical games. Okay? So, obviously, downloading a game, that is the technological leap forward, isn't it? It's convenient for... there's no packaging. You're not going to fill up your shelves with anything, and your game is stored neatly on a hard drive in a list of ready-to-play games.
Yep.
Now, being a collector, you've got a lot of games, Jay. And I've got a lot of games, and obviously, all of those games that we have in our lives will not fit on a hard drive unless we have colossal storage systems.
Yeah.
And where I'm going with this is I don't feel there's... every time I go to play a game lately on my PS5 or Xbox Series X, when I have time, because, time is fleeting these days with how busy we are, but every time I think, I'll stick that on and have a bash. Update. 4 hours it's going to take because my internet sucks. And then it's like, well, there's my window. It's gone. It's gone. I mean, I suppose, isn't that the most annoying thing when you just really fancy playing a game that you haven't played in a while, or you just want to go back to something and then you just can't?
Yeah. Right
there and then.
Yeah, I mean, see, there are ways around this. So I know Xbox does this better than PlayStation. Mm-hmm. Even with the Xbox Series X turned off, you can still have it auto-update games.
Now, that is something I didn't know, actually.
Yeah. It used to be...
like off?
Yeah. So there used to be 2 power settings for it. There was like the energy saving, which would turn everything off, and then there was the instant on.
Yeah.
Remember back when they had the connector, you could say Xbox on.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if anybody's Xbox just magically turned on. Have they still got their Kinect plugged in?
No one's got a Kinect anymore.
No, right. Not even Microsoft have those.
No, they've just quietly just brushed that under the rug.
Yep.
But so now, even with the energy saving mode of the Xbox, it will keep games up to date, which is good. But I don't understand how it works, because there are some times I've put my Xbox on and there are still a bunch of games waiting in the queue that I have to press update on.
So it doesn't do everything automatically?
No. Maybe there's a cut-off, like if you haven't played a game for so long, it won't auto-update, but I don't think it's that clever.
So we don't know what the magic formula is to keep games updated.
No. But yeah, I do share your pain, especially, I mean, I don't play it that much anymore, but Call of Duty, for instance, I mean, I can't
That's a big one as well.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I actually played it, but if I wanted to, like, say, the lads are on and I was going to boot up my Xbox, I think the last time I did put my Xbox on, there was a 17 gig update. I mean, luckily, I wasn't going to play the game that time, admittedly, but if I have to wait for 17 gig, and I mean, as you said, my internet is rubbish.
Yeah, I mean,
So
and a
takes about an hour.
17 gig download. That's kind of going to ruin your night, really, isn't it? It's going to, you're like, oh, I've set aside this time to, yeah, lads, I'll come on tonight or whatever, and then you finally get sat down after you've done all your obligations, and then suddenly, boom, 17 gig download. You're like, oh well, I'll see you later, lads. Maybe next time. So yeah, I suppose like better planning on our part is one aspect of it, but I don't know. I just, even with this, like, you know, convenience of auto updating games in the background, and that is a great feature. And you're saying Xbox does that better than PlayStation, so PlayStation doesn't do anything like that at the moment.
I don't think PlayStation has that feature,
Unless you got it in, what is it, standby, not standby,
rest mode, whatever they call it. Yeah, but I'm not entirely sure. To be honest, I've never really looked into it on the PlayStation. I know Xbox does it.
Maybe this is a us problem. I don't know. Like,
everything's an us problem.
We haven't read the manual.
Yeah, we're just idiots.
Yeah. No, well, okay, aside from that, I mean, because yes, there is ways to alleviate that, but it still is an issue like day one. You know, you can't, gone are the days where you could just buy a game, throw the disc in or the cartridge, and it just plays. You know,
no, there's always an install of some description.
Yeah, and that's a pain.
Yeah, a lot of it is just, I think it's just the size of games now. They do obviously struggle fitting on physical media now. But like with the Switch, the cartridge. Anyway, rein it in a second. With the like, obviously Nintendo Switch, the cartridges are, you know, they're not big enough to house the size of the game, so there's a download needed for that, and the same with the discs. But what really grinds my gears when it comes to the disc side of it, and I think you're probably going to say the same, is that when the disc is just like 90 megabytes of data, which is basically the unlock code for then to download the game off the internet. Yeah,
it's basically saying it's a doctor's note, basically saying, you know, here my, you know, I do have the game. Please allow me to swap this piece of paper for the game. And I mean, I say piece of paper, ironically, even Fallout 76, when that came out, it came out in a box, but it was just a cardboard disc in the box, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was literally just a cardboard disc.
Yeah, because it was just a code. That was it, just a download. And that's the other thing which annoys me about these big, expensive collector's editions that you get now. 9 times out of 10, they don't actually come with the game. They just come with a download code for the game. And it's like, well, as a collector, you're buying this collector's edition because you want the physical stuff. Yeah, but then, in the same breath, the physical stuff, as in the code, doesn't actually exist in a physical format anymore. Because, well, when Modern Warfare 2 released, the latest one, that got printed to hundreds of thousands of discs, shipped worldwide. There's actually nothing on that disc. And it did cause quite a big backlash at that time. And it was like, why have you done this? It's an absolute waste of resources, for one. You've just put out thousands of items of plastic into the world with nothing on it. That's a bit of that's a bad thing. Environmental issue. It's kind of an environmental crime, really, to have that much wastage. But that aside, like, that disc was, you know, it's a physical item, yes, but it's not the thing that you actually are collecting, is it? No. And I think that's a sad, that's kind of a sad realization. I mean, I know technically, even on like cartridges and you know, CDs and back in the day, you didn't actually own the game. You owned a license to be allowed to play the game. You know, if you read those terms and conditions in the manuals. It's always been the same, but now it feels even more detached from the medium in you know, in total. You are so far removed to a point where even if you have the disc, some games, if they turn off, they can flick a switch and you just literally can't play it anymore. Yeah. And that's happening with a few games right now. Yeah. I was going to say, it's happening right now with a bunch of EA titles.
Yep.
They're
and Square.
Yeah, they're turning off the online support for them. Not just that, they're removing games from digital storefronts too. So,
Yep.
you know, if you don't own the physical copy, then there's no way of getting the digital one anymore. And it's just like, so there
Exactly.
you go, score one for digital for physical media again.
Yeah, it's it comes back to the whole like preservation of game media, and I think it's important. You know, I think we should have more of a preservation of these things, and it's a shame that the way things are set up right now, it feels like he was saying, that the game development takes up so much more space, but our storage systems haven't risen up enough to you know go hand in hand with that increase.
Yes.
You know, hard drives, the hard drive in my PS5 or my Xbox is never going to have the same amount of storage capacity as my shelves in my game room.
No,
you know what I mean?
Definitely not. Yeah.
There's, I mean, and you know, to anyone that hasn't seen like our games rooms in the past, there's a lot of games in there. You know, these are not like, you know, just a couple of shelves with some games on them. There's thousands of games in there, and that's the other thing about having a quick blast. Like, say you haven't played a game in a few months, or you finished it months ago and you thought, oh, I fancy playing that again. You can't just grab it, throw it in, and play it. You have to grab it, throw it in, and then wait for it to download everything, and then download the latest patch and install that. And it's like, by the time all of that's done, your desire, or that kind of instant, you know, oh, I really fancy playing that, has dissipated to a point where you're like, oh, I can't be bothered now.
Yeah, yeah. All your free time's gone. Like,
Yeah.
you know, that brief window of an hour you've got between looking after the kids or doing whatever you have to do in your day to day is just gone.
Exactly. And the amount of times I've said, oh, I really fancy playing that, and then thinking about the installation process and having to wait for it, and I just shake my head and just go, nah. And then it's gone. I'm like,
it is a shame.
yeah, it feels like the what's the word I'm looking for? The spontaneity of just playing something, just picking up and playing something, has been diminished quite a lot by having these like download options and stuff on the disc not actually being finalized code, because they have to manufacture discs like months before they release so they can have enough quantity to send out to all the distributors and all that kind of jazz. So the code that goes on the disc at the manufacturing stage is like 2-3 months old. So by the time it gets to you, then they have to put the next the final build
that's
on.
that's why you always have the day one patch.
And it's a shame.
Yeah, a game going gold now just means that it works. Sort of.
I mean,
from start to finish.
Does it? I mean, games are so tightly made to the wire now that they're literally finishing lines of code, you know, minutes before the game goes live, you know, on these servers. And even then, they're just working on them constantly because they launch with so many problems.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a separate issue to talk about. Games launching broken, but...
yeah, and the reasons behind that, because it's never, and I mean, they get the slack, the devs get the slack for it, but it's never the devs or the teams working on it. We all know it's the people at the top, you know.
No one ever wants to put out a bad broken game, but no. Money talks, and
yes,
the
unfortunately.
the people in control of the bank and the accounts and stuff. There's, well, you know, you got to release it because we need that money back in to pay all these people to fix it.
Yeah.
It's a shame, but yeah, I feel like overall, I'm hoping one day that games will have a renaissance of physical media, particularly in the indie sector. We're making our own game, and it's definitely going to have physical media if that's an option for us, because I hope it has a renaissance, like music has with vinyl. Like, vinyl is as close as you can get to the music without, you know, being with it, and it's a thing that not everyone gets, but I understand this whole, you know, with the vinyl and with physical media in general, it's the whole ritualistic aspect of the enjoyment. Like with a game, the ritual of going to the shop, browsing the shelves, picking up the boxes, finding the one that you like, purchasing it, having to wait until you get back home, reading through the manuals and all that kind of stuff, then putting the disc in, and it's this ritual that you do and that you have fond memories of before playing like your favorite game.
I was going to say the same thing. It's like that's what you always did when you was a kid. Like, you go to the shop, you buy the game, and then whether you were getting the bus back home or you were in your parents' car driving back, the first thing you'd do is open it up and read through the full color manual that used to be in there.
That would often have so much lore and information in it that's not even in the game. You know. And yeah, it's similar with music as well. The ritual of, like, you know, buying that vinyl, the feel of it, the massive artwork on it, opening it up and seeing all the photographs and the lyrics from all the tracks and everything. And then you've got this dark disc of that's just, I still don't know how they work. You know, I'm going to Google how they work. It's complete ignorance on my part. I have no idea how a vinyl works, but it's literally music carved into a shiny black disc that produces sound from a nail or a needle.
It is wizardry. I do remember hearing some things about how they had to like restrict some sounds, or they couldn't have too much bass because it would cause the disc to wobble on the needle, which would cause the track to skip.
That's right.
So yeah, and it's just it's bloody wizardry.
It is wizardry. And a funny little story about that, just a segue while we talk about vinyl for a second. Keith bought Billie Eilish's latest album on vinyl. Well, not the latest one, but a Billie Eilish album anyway. Yes. And Billie Eilish, it's modern music, it's on vinyl. What's it got a lot of? Bass. So our little vinyl player was really struggling to like keep the needle on the disc because of all the bass. So quick hack for everyone that's got modern music on vinyl: bit of blue tack on the needle arm, weighs it down and stops those bass jumps. There you go.
Okay.
I mean, does
that not ruin the vinyl in the long term?
I don't know. I'm not an expert. I just know it stopped it from skipping. It's like, yes, press this down harder. It's probably, our vinyl player's a bit cheap. You know, I mean, it cost me like 60 quid. It's one of those ones that comes in the briefcase, the suitcases.
Ah, yes, I know the one.
Yes. They're not great, you know. It's not a proper stereo stack one, but a bit of blue tack, it fixed it. It was fine. But yeah, this I hope at some point. I've been saying it for a long time. Like, I kind of hope that the indie sector of the games industry, because let's face it, you've got the AAA sector, which is basically the exact same as the indie developers, except the AAA developers have money. That's the only difference, is they have money. The amount of skill and talent in the indie pool is just as great as the AAA pool. So the difference is money. And I think at some point it would be really good if the indies all got together and, I don't know, just made a console just for indie games. And then all the indies could like take control of it and have a piece of it and own that. And, you know, become an alternative to the AAA corporate side of everything, because it is very corporate these days.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And yeah, I mean, it might come around. There are already companies that produce physical copies and collector's editions of games that are digital only, like what is it, limited run games, and a couple of others that do it. So, you know, maybe that will take off more. And we might see more. Yeah,
I hope so. I mean, if one thing's, you know, been shown is that these companies are very successful because there is very much a desire still for that physical media. And, you know, maybe there's people like listening that think like, oh, but, you know, it takes up space and, like, you know, it doesn't bother me. And it's like, yeah, sure. Like, you know, if it doesn't bother, I know loads of people that just have never bought games. They just download them. And then once they're done with them, they delete them. But to a collector, you know, if you collect something and then somebody said, yeah, you can't collect that anymore, it's kind of sucky, right? It's always nice to have the choice. And I think more choice is always better. And even if at the end of the day, the AAA companies said like, right, it's a download only, but we are doing a limited run of physical editions, then, you know, that are made to order even, and then it's not wasting their money. you know, and the people that want the physical copies still are able to get them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. That is why I'm not so much of a gamer these days, because it's just so difficult. Yeah, actually, the one good thing that's come of it, I've started playing a hell of a lot more of my old games. Like, I've fired up my Mega Drive more times than I could, you know. I've played more Mega Drive games this year than I have anything else. Just because it's so quick to just slap a cartridge in and go, right, here we go.
And just go with it. Yeah.
Yeah, you and me played one, didn't we? Life on Mars.
Yeah.
Was it Life on Mars? It was called Life on Mars, right?
I think it was Life on Mars.
Yeah.
I remember the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
That,
it was a new game.
Yeah.
New game released for an old system. That I love homebrew stuff. That was a great game.
Yeah, it was. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. More on that next time. So that was our topic for today. So if you've got any thoughts on that and want to let us know your feelings about physical media and downloads, or maybe you just want to reminisce about some cool memories you have of physical media in general, then let us know on the YouTube channel in the comments section. And that's YouTube/Ministry of Gamers MOG, or MOG at the end there. Right, so now it's time in the show for us to muse about some things that happened at some time. Jason,
I love it.
What's happening?
What's happening? Well, I suppose we can talk about Hellblade 2. Do you remember that?
Yes, I read about it in myth and legend and scrolls.
Yeah, one of those other mythical Xbox Series launch exclusive games.
We don't talk about that. Let's move on.
Yeah. Well, they showed off a new trailer, basically, because they've made the move to Unreal Engine 5, and I mean, it looks absolutely incredible.
I saw the tech demo of the animation that they did.
Yeah,
with the girl live on stage.
Yeah, what are they calling it? They got a fancy term for what they're doing with it, and we already saw it with the Matrix tech demo they did for Unreal Engine. But yeah, something about the way that they can make human models look super realistic now.
Yeah, well, they can add a lot more detail by using those special polygons. What's it called? That's going to bug me now. But yeah, it's basically like a mathematics and wizardry allows them to use clusters of polygons to have detail that's really up close, and then as it goes further away, it's they're bigger or whatever. It's very clever how it works, but it allows real-time rendering of clusters of high detail compared to less detail in distance, and it's all depending on how close you are to it. Yeah.
That's what they're calling it. Sorry, for the meta-human technology, apparently. Make super realistic human models, and I mean, yeah, there's not much to say about it other than it looks really, really good, and I can't wait to play it. So,
do we have
it at some point?
do we know when Hellblade 2 is coming out?
No.
Oh. Okay.
No, because they didn't show anything other than they're basically the new Unreal Engine tech.
I mean, if they've moved over to the next Unreal Engine, I guess that means they're going to be retooling the game to work with that. So I guess we'll see it next generation.
Potentially. Who knows? It is a shame because still Xbox doesn't really have anything, but
no, it doesn't. I mean, it has Game Pass. But I have thoughts on Game Pass as well. That's another topic for another day.
That's another topic. Yeah. So we got some real nice look at Unreal Engine 5. And to be honest, I can't wait to see the games that fully utilize it. Because at the moment, I still, we're what, 2 years now? Mm-hmm. Over 2 years into this, I want to say new generation, but it's not. Yeah. It's the current generation. And I still don't feel like we've seen anything truly next gen.
In inverted commas. I think there's been a handful of games that I've looked at and I've gone, okay, that's blowing my mind. And I'm not going to lie, they've all been PlayStation exclusives because they just seem to have had I don't know, they've put extra time into them, or for whatever reason, they just look better than most of the games that I've seen.
Yeah, for sure. And I think one of the biggest things for that is because Xbox are still having to think about the Series S.
They're still supporting the older consoles, aren't they?
Yeah, which doesn't have the power. But again, it's probably a topic for another day.
Another topic. We have lots of these topics that keep popping up, don't we?
We do. We should write them down. We've got lots to moan about.
So what was this original point?
Hellblade, where is it? So Hellblade 2. There's also a lot of talk about this whole Microsoft acquisition of Activision still going on. Like the latest is it looks like it's probably gonna go ahead. A few more places have come out and said, yeah, we're giving it the green light. Sony are still moaning about it. I don't know why. I honestly don't see it being a massive issue for Sony.
I don't believe so either, and I found it kind of annoying. Why, when they started moaning about it, I'm like, why are you moaning about it? I mean, at the end of the day, it's Activision Blizzard. Yes, they've got a lot of IPs or whatever, but at the end of the day, you're Sony. You make games, and you've made a lot more exclusives than Xbox has in this latest generation. Why don't you just make more games? Like, they've got that great IP, SOCOM Navy SEALs. Like, that hasn't had a game out for a long time. Bring that back. That would be a perfect rival to Call of Duty, wouldn't it?
That's the thing, yeah, just develop a rival. And I think what Microsoft have said at the moment is that they're still giving Sony a 10-year deal to say that, yes, Call of Duty will still launch on the console for 10 years. Within that time, Sony could easily develop a competitor, especially now Sony own Bungie, who made, Destiny.
Small game. That what was that other franchise that they made?
Right.
Escapes my memory. It begins with a H, I think.
Yeah. Something to do about a ring. I don't know.
Master Chef. They should totally be. I mean, because they can do it. They have the resources. They have, studios like Naughty Dog and Santa Monica, and they're busy with other things as well. But the point is, expand, make more. Like, you have the power to do that, and I think they could, rather than. I mean, they already are making more games, and that's great. But rather than moan about this acquisition, I'd say let Microsoft have it.
Yeah, I don't see Call of Duty being an Xbox exclusive. I don't see that taking away from the PlayStation fan base, especially as I think I read somewhere that Sony has like a monopoly on 98% of Japanese studios. Yeah. Because let's face it, Sony does get a lot more of these games coming out of Japan. There's a lot of which Microsoft at the moment, they're trying to make a big push in that market, and they have seen some success. There are some more RPGs and some more games coming from that side of the world on the Xbox, but PlayStation's always been the place for that. And I think people that went out and bought a PlayStation have bought it for either that reason or for games like The Last of Us or the Spider-Man, and they're not going to miss out. No, is the point.
I think even if you were looking at a console and thinking like, I'm going to buy this for a particular game, I would hazard a guess that not many people would have purchased a PlayStation 5 purely for the latest Call of Duty. If that was the thing that tipped them over the edge, I don't think that would be the sole reason for a lot of people. It would be to play some of the exclusives that you can't play anywhere else, right?
Yeah.
So they've already got that going for them. And if they can keep that going for them, then Microsoft can have whatever they want, and Sony will always be able to match it or just make more games. And like you said, they've got all the Japanese developers over there that are pumping out a lot of content for them, and there is a lot more games on, like, obscure weird games, by the way.
Definitely.
Let's face it, it does have a fair share of its own brand of shovelware, which, I don't know if you like Japanese shovelware, it can be quite good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And on the back of that, the latest one is all this noise around Redfall.
Ooh, yes. Now, what is the main noise about that? It's the always online single player connection thing, isn't it?
Yes. So that was the first part, and it kind of links into a topic that we talked about to begin with. It's going to be always online. It was going to require it to always be online, even for the single player side of it.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, people didn't like that. The developers have actually listened, and they're working on removing it now.
Ah, yes. The old, we're going to make this crap. Wait until people complain about it. Then we'll take a step back to make it look like that we're doing good.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like, how cynical do you want to get with it? Because it's like
Go for it.
I know. Well, a lot of companies now have their games always online, so they can shovel all this extra DLC and cosmetics and in-game like currency and all these like external factors to make you spend lots of money. However, the developers of Redfall have basically said that no, that's not the reason why it was always online. It was so they could have real-time metrics. So I think the exact example they gave was if a lot of players were bugging out on a particular ladder, they could see that in real time and fix that on the fly.
Yeah, and I understand that, but
yeah,
I would say the much better way of doing it would be to have an opt-in, opt-out. So if you want them to track your data, then you could opt into that. If you don't care about it being online all the time, then tick that box. But if you do care about being online all the time and you don't want that, then as a single player game, you should be able to just turn it off and stay offline.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're going back and saying you can do that, that's great. However, I did notice that they did say in the future. So does that mean when it launches or a lot longer after?
It's probably going to be after. At the moment, they're looking into it. They've said. I think he specifically said that he's not making any promises, but it's something that they're going to look into. So,
I mean, I know from our own experience that it's not an easy thing to do. Just because in our game we do track telemetry of players' activities within the game. I don't know too many details about it because Carl did all the coding on that, and he's a wizard of data and all that jazz. But he assures me that it isn't a case of simply flipping a switch. There's a lot of things that need to be rerouted, and in a game like ours, where we're just tracking, you know, your distance traveled, how many shots you fired, how many zombies you killed, blah blah blah, not too bad. But in a game like Redfall that's much, you know, denser with telemetry, that probably would take a lot longer to figure that out.
Yeah, especially if it's baked into the core elements of the game, it's going to take a while to kind of remove that and figure out how it's going to work.
Especially if the developers were told from the very start, this is always going to be an online game, so don't worry about doing any code that will make it available to play offline as well. We're never going to have to worry about that. If they were told that, then their entire code base and structure is probably based on the fact that they thought it was never going to be an offline single player game.
Yeah, so we'll just have to wait and see if they do. They're looking into it, so maybe, I mean, the game's out in May or whatever it is, but we'll just see if they do remove it by then.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, but the other part of this, which kind of ties into what we were just talking about, is the fact that there isn't a PS5 version coming. Now, you kind of saw this coming because it's Arcane, Bethesda, Microsoft owned them, so, you know, you would automatically think that, well,
it's going to be a Game Pass game, right?
Yeah. However, there apparently was a PS5 version in the works until Microsoft bought Bethesda and then told them to stop working on it, which kind of contradicts what Phil Spencer said about not removing the fan bases or, you know...
That's a bit naughty.
Yeah, taking games away from another player base. Like, that's kind of one of Phil Spencer's big thing about the whole Activision acquisition. And it's just like...
But I guess it wasn't that big then?
Yeah.
Thanks, Phil. Sorry to PlayStation owners. I guess you're going to have to miss out on that one.
Yeah, so it will be Xbox and PC only, unfortunately.
Ah, well, you know, if you have a PS5, but you also have a PC, then you can still play it.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah,
not it's not a major loss, is it? Plug your
No.
Xbox controller into a PC and there you go.
Yeah, I mean there is no true Xbox exclusive anymore. Let's be honest. You'll always get it on PC as well.
Yeah, a bit of a shame there, but another conversation for another day.
Yeah. And that's really it that's been going on. Those are the big things that have been happening lately.
At some point in time and space.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, now we're going to go on to our listeners' comments, which we didn't have many the first time around. Well, we had a few. We're going to read those out, and let's hear what the people had to say about our first podcast back. I mean, bear in mind, we hadn't posted anything for 2 years, had we? So it's a bit of an interesting return.
I'm quite happy that people watched it in general.
Yeah, I was surprised to even get a single comment. So, yeah, thanks. Thanks for that, guys. So, who's our first commenter, Jay?
Okay. Well, this is weird. So, the first comment was from a GameGasm original subscriber. Alucard.
Alucard. I recognise that.
I've refreshed and you've changed the username to Blink Shadow.
Oh, okay. So he's gone through a whole change of username as well.
Yeah, and that happened recently. So congratulations. But he just says, you guys came back in time to play Duke Nukem Forever on its 12th anniversary.
Oh God. Oh no.
You just won't let that go, will you?
He's not gonna. No, they're not gonna let that go. And yeah, I mean, maybe we will play it.
Yeah, we'll answer that the way we always do. Maybe at some point.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe. Thanks for commenting.
Yeah. Matthew Smith is next.
Hey.
He says, great to see you guys again. Definitely agree with the gaming drought of late. There has been a smattering recently that gives me some hope. Thinking about it more critically, though, that hope is heavily made up of remakes and remasters.
Yeah, there has been a lot of those, hasn't there? Resident Evil 4 being the latest one, I guess.
Yeah, and I did read the other day that I think the highest scoring and the highest grossing games so far this year are all remakes. The Dead Space remake, the Metroid Prime remake, and Resident Evil 4.
Doesn't it just tell you that they just, like...
They don't make them like they used to.
They don't make... That's physical proof, right? I'm not old and jaded. That's actual proof. There's data that suggests that they literally don't make them like they used to.
No.
Thanks for validating my feelings.
Yeah. So, yeah, thanks for your comment. And no, you're not wrong. Unfortunately, all we have to look forward to are remakes and remasters.
Yeah. No, yeah, thanks for that.
Kenneth Roberts next.
Hey.
Nice to see you boys are back. I like the cartoon versions of yourselves.
Oh, yes. A little. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, we do have a little looping animation of Jay and I in our make-believe studio. There's actually quite a few Easter eggs in that animation. Maybe can you find them all? How much of a Mog GameGasm fan are you?
Yeah, let us know in the comments.
Yes.
He also says, what games have you played this year, and did you try the Resident Evil 4 demo?
Well, yeah, I suppose Resident Evil 4 wasn't out at the time of recording our last podcast, was it? So no, I haven't. I genuinely have not had time to play games, and when I have had time to play games, I've been playing Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah, you're still trying to get through that.
I'm still trying to get through that. I just, whenever I have a time, like, you know, an hour or two, that I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll hop on. I'm playing that because and my pile of shame is growing. I've got quite a lot of games that I have good intentions of playing, but I've not gotten around to doing it yet. But Jay, you've played far more games than me, so you'd be better to ask about the Resident Evil 4 in particular.
Like I say, yeah, on the opposite side of that spectrum, I've had way too much time to play games. I didn't play the Resident Evil 4 demo, and my reasoning was I just wanted to wait till the game came out because obviously when the demo launched, I think it was a week before the full release of the game.
Yes.
So I figured it's close enough. I may as well just wait until the game comes out. So I skipped the demo, but I have been playing the game. I've only sunk a couple of hours into it. I'm on chapter 4 or something, so it's still early days, but I'm liking it, I've got to say.
Okay. I thought you were going to say you weren't enjoying it then.
No, no. It reminds me of the first time I played it on the GameCube.
Nice.
It's given me that same sort of vibes, and yeah, bringing it into more in line with the others. It feels like more of a direct continuation of Leon's story from Resident Evil 2, because obviously they've used the same character model, and it's not too jarring a jump from what the PlayStation to the GameCube was like back in 2000 or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was a bit of a jump, wasn't it?
Yeah. So no, really enjoying it.
Great. Dead Space. You played Dead Space as well, didn't you? The remake.
No, I skipped.
Oh, you haven't. Oh, you skipped it.
No,
I bought it. It's one of the games on my pile of shame, Jay. Yeah, it's there. It's still shrink wrapped. Yeah. It's gonna stay shrink wrapped, I think.
Yeah. I skipped that one because I don't know. I will go. I mean, at the time, I was like, "Oh, I don't see the point in buying it. If I want to play Dead Space, the original,
the 360 version's fine."
Yeah, and I realized I'm contradicting everything I've just said about the Resident Evil 4 remake, so I might have to pick it up and play it.
I mean, apparently, it is very good. The changes that they've made to Dead Space are really, really good ones, and it feels a little bit more open, and the sound design in particular has been praised quite highly for its. Yeah, how well they've done the 3D audio in there. It's
I've heard lots of good stuff about it. So I think I definitely need to pick up a copy of it. And if
you can borrow mine if you want.
No, you got to leave that one still. See how long it can stay sealed for.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, it's just to support. If EA release a single player game, you better believe everyone needs to jump on and buy it to prove them wrong.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then other than that, I think I played Hogwarts Legacy. I absolutely blitzed that in a week.
You 100%'d it, didn't you?
Yeah, I platinumed it in like 7 days or something. I don't know. Yeah, it was good. I got into that.
Yeah, I love that game. It's so good. I'm taking my time with it. I'm enjoying it. And yeah, I get a moment here and there to play it, and I love diving back into that world. It's so good.
Yeah, it's a great. I feel kind of sad that I went through it too quick, because I do kind of miss playing it.
Well, you can always play it again.
I mean, once you played through it, like,
I suppose you played through it like 4 times, didn't you? Like, to get the trophy.
Yeah, you have to get to a certain point with all the houses. So once you played through that first bit like 5 times, it's kind of like, I'm sort of I'm done now. I can leave it for a while. I'll go back to it later. Yeah. Bring on the sequel.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think. Oh, other games that I played this year. This year, man, there's not many. I can't think of any more that I've actually played this year, unless you want to count Mega Drive games. But we won't go into that. That's a topic for another day.
Another day, yeah.
But yeah, I played a lot of old school games. I actually picked one up recently. I was in Whitby on holiday, and there was a CEX in the town, and I happened to wander past the window, and what was there in the window was a copy of Revenge of Shinobi on the Mega Drive, and I was like, I don't have that, I'm buying that. So yeah, nice. I bought Revenge of Shinobi. Yeah, great game. Along with a SNES pad as well. There was a good quality Super Nintendo controller in there too, so I snaffled that away.
Always got to grab them when you see them.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for that comment. Took us off on a bit of a tangent there.
Fine. Tangents are always welcome.
Yes.
But thank you, Kenneth. Next comment from David Lewis, who says, "Welcome back, you guys. There's a dozen YouTubers I'm subscribed to who suddenly vanish, and I always end up wondering if they're okay. Just yesterday, Layman Gaming dropped an update video after 11 months of silence. See, it's a good time. It's a good time just to randomly just appear back.
Yeah, just ping. Here we are in podcast format.
Yeah, I regularly tuned in before you moved to Twitch, watching you watch the login screen for Outriders.
Oh God, yeah. I remember
we tried to play that.
Yeah, we did try. We tried. We had all the intentions of having a great game on there, but then it just kicked us out, didn't it?
Yeah, well, we just couldn't get it working. I think the first time we tried to play it, I think I got in, but you didn't.
That's right.
It wouldn't work for you. You couldn't connect.
Yeah, I think it was. It was when they made that kind of last minute decision to just drop it on Game Pass.
Game Pass, yes.
So
I think everyone that did kill it. Yeah.
Yeah, nailed the servers because everyone that has Game Pass are like, oh, I'll bung it on for free and try it. And of course, thousands of people do that all at the same time on launch day, and you're like, well, the people that paid for the game can't get in.
Yeah, and it was a shame. I mean, I still own my copy, and I've never played it.
I have a funny story about my copy.
Yes,
I'll save that for another day, though.
Yeah. Also enjoyed watching you play Resi 5 in co-op. Those were good times. It was always fun, and I liked how relaxed and easygoing you guys are together. Do you still have the same cozy game room setup?
Oh, yes. Yeah, it's still cozy. I'm constantly surrounded by all the games that I never play. Yeah. And Jay, although you've moved, you've kept your gaming setup, haven't you?
Yeah, I pretty much copy and pasted it for everywhere I've lived. I've just copy and pasted the setup into the room that I go to. So
this is my unit. These are my shelves.
Yeah, this is what goes on that shelf.
Yeah. So nice we still very much have our cool gaming spaces.
Well, yeah, thanks for your comment. Then we got a couple of quick fire ones. David Hirsch says, "Glad you guys are back."
Woohoo! Thank you.
Yeah, welcome back, boys. Michael, you're back.
Yes, we're back.
Cora's, it's been too long. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Hey, good night. I used to be your mod on YouTube and Twitch.
Oh, yes, of course. We had mods.
We did, yeah.
Moderators that banned people and shushed naysayers. Yeah, maybe we'll have need for mods again in the future if we ever played Duke Nukem.
Duke Nukem, yeah. Maybe one day, you never know.
I mean, to be honest, I'm more inclined to play the Duke Nukem game because it's on disc and it's on the 360 and you can just pop it in and it'll work.
But also, on that, I think they did... I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure... Did we look into it? And they did...
Did they make it backwards compatible?
Yeah. Which might help with the loading times.
Oh, so yeah, because they were really bad, weren't they?
Yeah, it might be. And it's like, my only memory from that game is that one line, oh, this is going to fuck up my head. And it's like, if I had to listen to that one more, I was going to snap the disc into it.
I remember your frustrations at that bit. I think we all died at that bit a lot.
Yeah, the stupid fish in that stupid tunnel, and then the stupid loading times, and then this is going to fuck up my hair. I mean, it's like...
Oh no, you're giving Jay PTSD.
I need to step out a minute.
Go and cool off. Go and cool off.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, maybe one day.
Maybe.
Christian Denning, oh my word. Yeah, so it was a shock. We're back.
Yeah. We're just as shocked as you are.
Yeah. Cole Wiggett, don't know who that is, says whoop whoop.
For anyone that doesn't know, Carl's the programmer on our game.
And then Michael again says, what are you talking about? There are a lot of good games in the last years. Perhaps you were somewhere else and didn't enjoy it, stressed, etc. I mean,
not a bad shout. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I think it kind of like we tried to play Outriders, and when that started falling over, and we, it was kind of like, oh well, yeah. I think it just was. I think we just kind of reached the end of our tether.
Yeah, we did. And like a lot of games after that, there's a lot of, everyone's like focusing on live service and microtransactions. And there was a lot of stuff where I was just like, why am I bothering anymore? This stuff is all crap. I don't want to play any of this. It just started to feel like a chore rather than something fun to play, So.
Yeah, so we made it fun by playing Resident Evil 5 on co-op, but I mean, I can't remember how many times we went through that, and it was like, there's only so many times, like, for our own enjoyment, fine, but would everyone keep tuning in every week to watch us play it? Probably not. And then, if I think about other games that released around that sort of time that I was playing, they were more single-player sort of games, so... I did make a mental note of games like Tales of Arise and Scarlet Nexus, massive RPGs, story-based RPGs, not really a game to stream because it's heavily story-based. And like even more recently, games like Elden Ring and Hogwarts Legacy. Well, I'm never going to stream Elden Ring because the Souls community would just kill me. Even though that's another game I really enjoyed. And then Hogwarts, I'm not touching that with a stick online.
Yeah, it's a touchy subject. Perhaps that would also be suitable for another podcast. But to put it bluntly, in my bluntest way possible, it's a bloody wizard game. Enjoy it for what it is and separate the art from the artiste, which in this case had bugger all to do with it. So, there's that.
Yeah, so you're not wrong. There were great games. I mean, when we kind of said there was nothing coming out, maybe we misspoke a little bit, but nothing stream worthy or nothing that we kind of felt like playing on stream, basically. So
No.
But there were some good games.
And then he just went quiet. We got really busy, and then making a game and all that kind of jazz. Which, by the way, you can play the demo of if you want to try it out. It's on Steam. It's called Bubblegum Zombie Hunter, and that's what we've been spending a lot of our time developing. And it's going to be out later this year.
Yeah. And then finally, John just says, Gamergasm.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Our old channel name, it will just haunt us forever, won't it, Jay?
Yeah, we can't get away from that. But memories.
Yeah. I wonder how did that name come about? I think it was literally just a joke. And then we were like, all right, let's call it that. Because, originally it wasn't, you weren't here at the start, were you? At the very, 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 very start.
No. I think I joined on video number 3, I think it was.
Yeah. What was your first video with us? It was it Abe's the Abe's Odyssey remake?
It was the Abe's Odyssey remake, yeah.
Wow. That was a time, wasn't it? Different. That feels like a lifetime ago.
Well, it was 2014, almost 10 years ago.
Oh my God. 2014 wasn't 10 years. Oh, yeah, it was.
2023 now.
Man, it feels like a blip. It feels like an absolute blip. But no, it's cool. It's cool that we're still kind of here in a way.
Yeah.
We've never left.
No, we've always been around. But yeah, that's it for the comments. So thanks everyone for your comments.
Thank you for that.
Thanks for tuning in and kind of still being there to listen to us ramble.
Yes. And of course, if you want to join in the ramblings and leave your comments, then please do that on the YouTube channel, which is, what is it, Jay?
It is youtube.com/Ministry of Gamers MOG.
That's Ministry of Gamers MOG.
We've got like a soundboard, we can press the button and it just plays it.
Okay, so that brings us neatly to the end of episode 2, doesn't it?
It does.
Yes. So how are we doing? How's our podcasting? Are you enjoying it? Please let us know. And if you've got any suggestions for how we can improve or make things better for your ears, then we are only too happy to oblige. Within reason, of course. As long as it's legal.
Yeah. Well,
rules were meant to be bent. Anyway, but thank you so much for tuning in and listening to us, and we hope to hear from you very soon, and we'll see you all again on episode 3. When will that be? We haven't really got a schedule for these, have we? They're just
we'll try for weekly, but
roughly weekly.
Until we get a proper schedule, and then we'll get more uniform.
Yes, of course. But for right now, that is Midnight Musings. I've been Bren.
I've been Jay.
And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.